Hello. So today I figured I would do a little episode on, I guess more or less broken tools. I ended up having several ratchet wrenches that basically stripped out and blew up on me. And rather than throw them away, I thought I would show you guys a little different method. You can just service these ratchets, and you can just service these ratchets and they are basically as good as new. So kind of, I guess the reason for this is, I don't know, justification in buying a quality tool versus a non-quality tool. And like really kind of the tool market's a little bit different than when I kind of started wrenching, more so. And that, I don't know, we're just kind of in a different place. Where we're not so much worried about keeping a tool's longevity because we can just throw it away and get a new one, right? That sounds all good and fine until all those bad parts are gone and there's no parts to service those bad parts, and then what do you do? So anyway, what I'm going to do is I have got two broken ratchets here. Basically, they stripped out teeth, and then I have another ratchet that we'll talk about. It's not really a repair, it's kind of more of a mod thing. Okay, so first things first, kind of what like took me down this rabbit hole of ratchets and repairs and things like that is I have got this Craftsman wrench. This is kind of like, at the time, I guess, one of their higher end professional ratchets. It's an all nice machine like high-end ratchet would be. Anyway, I had bought a ratchet back in the day, and I don't remember if that one died or one thing, but anyway, what happened was I ended up with the shorter version of this ratchet. It died. You used to be able to take them to Sears and get a new one, a refurbished one, or whatever the case may be. So they replaced that short ratchet with this longer ratchet, which was cool for me. And really, they're not out any different money. They just had a box of these like kind of under the shelf where people would bring them back. The guys in the back or whatever would refurbish them, put these little kits that we're going to talk about in there, and then kick them so you weren't standing around waiting and they didn't have to like retail apart or whatever. So anyway, this tool is kind of old anyway. It's a little bit older tech, and really the long and short of it is I did replace this tool. However, that kind of, like I said, took me down this rabbit hole of the kits and things like that you could buy. So it took me a minute to find, not so much to find the number to this kit, but it took me a minute because they just kind of come and go. I can't just go to Sears and buy this kit anymore. So a little bit of internet research, I was able to find the part number and then just hang out so I could get one. So what ended up happening is I ended up being able to find this kit. This is a ratchet repair kit. This is the part number. Part numbers obviously will differ based on the ratchet that you have. So this ended up being, I think, I don't know, like $20 or $26 for a repair, which is pretty good considering you're probably not going to buy a new ratchet for that much anywhere, and you're definitely not going to buy a quality ratchet for that much. The replacement for this wrench was significantly more than that. That's sort of besides the point. So what we're going to do real quick is I'm going to show you how to service these. You'll be able to see the differences in these different style ratchets, because we'll talk about that Craftsman. I have got this. This is an old school snap-on. This is actually a 3/8 inch wrench that is dated from 1951. I bought that like when I was a teenager in a couple of boxes of parts from a guy, so it was super score. This, I think, was actually the first snap-on tool I had, and it was the only one I had for a long time. So, and then the other one is just like some other stuff. So what I will do is I'm going to go ahead and rebuild these two wrenches, and then I'll show you the other wrench at that time and kind of show you the differences between these wrenches, what makes them different, what makes them the same, I guess, what makes one better or worse than the other. So here we go with that. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward repair. Basically, this is your part number. This 44833 is your number. Right there. And what I did to find the part number for that is you can just put in like repair kit for that Craftsman part number, and it will take you to where you need to go. So this has got a little snap ring in here that needs to come out. All right. So like I said, pretty straightforward. The snap ring comes out. You've got this little cover plate that will come up. This anvil pulls out like this, and you can see where this one's blown up right here. That one's damaged actually in a couple places, you can see. Alright, so after that you basically just have the pawl left in there. Underneath the pawl is going to be the spring and the ball to lock it. So this should just figure out how to peel it back. Alright, so the pawl will just peel up like this. And then you got the ball and stuff in there. The ball falls out. Alright. So that's basically what that looks like there. Kind of dirty and grimy in there, but like I said, spring, ball, pawl piece, and the lock. This pawl really isn't damaged, more so the gear. And that has a front and a back for sure. So we get that cleaned up. Go ahead and get this kit opened up. So this just shows up on eBay, and that gives you the part numbers of the ratchets that this kit fixes. And then it just gives you the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how to fix everything. Basically everything just goes back together the way it came apart. Okay, so here's what you've got, a bag within a bag. And within said bag, I have all the good parts. So those are all the new parts. And they upgraded this with a metal piece. The one that came out was a little plastic shitter. There's a new gear head. All nice and shiny, not damaged. So basically this is pretty straightforward. The first piece that goes in is a little tiny spring. It just drops right down in that hole there. So the ball has to be compressed down into that spring a little bit. So you just need to get a little screwdriver or something like this. Press the ball down in the hole and hold it. Come on. Come on, man. Alright, so you can walk this in here, and we've got that little hole there. And you want to line that up with the ball, pawl. I put it in here like this, a little bit of an upward angle. And it will slide right in like that. And you just want to make sure it does its thing without falling out. After that, this guy goes inside like that. Plate. And finally the snap ring. Goes in there like that. Use pliers. Yeah. All right, so and that one's fixed now. All right. So, and technically actually upgraded because I got the metal quicker now. Okay, one done. That is just a quick little rehash on that wrench. All right, so when I first got into wrenching, basically it was like your Sears stuff, which is crap, the Craftsman stuff. And it seems like you had like some Snale brand stuff, but most everything was like either cheap bullshit, it was Craftsman, or it was the tool truck stuff. So, like I said, I bought a handful of cheap tools from Sears, and the first time I ever bought tools off the tool truck, I was pretty shocked by the price point versus the Sears stuff. I think I paid like, I don't know, something silly like 30 bucks for a socket, 30 bucks for a wrench or something like that. Whereas that would have gotten you like 2 sets at Sears at the time. So, that being said, for your regular Joe Blow, not doing professional like day in day out wrench work, the Craftsman stuff was good, especially the older stuff, and if you can get the service parts for it. Right, so that being said, a few years ago, and even a couple years before that, Sears and Craftsman basically went banco. Okay, so they had to like do a bunch of different stuff, and that's kind of neither here nor there at that point. But I went and bought a new wrench for the job that I was working at the time. Figured I would buy a Craftsman, right? It's tried and true. It should be all right. Different style than this wrench, mind you. And this is kind of one of those things why, like, at times it's good to like upgrade and innovate and change things. But the design in this tool is pretty, it's pretty straightforward, right? So there's not a whole lot of reason to change it. Anyway, that tool, I literally took it from the store to my job and tried using it on a fastener that was like well within, you know, spec of these fasteners, and the head literally like blew up on the thing. Like it exploded the head everywhere. Luckily I was able to find the pieces, kind of like put it back together, and I don't know if it finished that job or whatever. Anyway, long story short, the next time I brought the tool out, same thing. As soon as I hit it, it blew the head off the tool. So I took it back to this particular store to get a refund, or to just get my warranty exchange, right? But because I wasn't getting the exact same tool, because I'm not warranting a tool that just exploded the first time, I'll get like the other one that they had. It turned into this and that, where I ended up swearing at this store manager. And I still say, that guy, you guy. Anyway, so that basically just disenfranchised me on Craftsman. You know, I was just kind of done at that point. I'm not going to trust a tool like that. So probably myself and others feel that way. So where does that leave you? That leaves you basically on the tool truck again. Or, you know, everybody really likes the Harbor Freight stuff. And again, if that's where you're at, that's cool. But when you're doing it more, and you kind of have to be professional about what you're doing, like downtime on tools, just, you know, if your tools make you money, if you have a broken tool, it doesn't make you money. It's as simple as that. So that being said, Harbor Freight, and mind you, I've only bought like one Harbor Freight wrench, and I'll show you it because I thought it was cool. I was like, wow, that's super dope. While we're ranting about ratchets, this tool, I'm sure you've seen it, it's a 3/8 flex head and a 1/4 inch flex head, right? Kind of the same thing with this tool. You put any real torque to it, and it blows the head off of it. It like blows this ring out of it or whatever, and then it won't stay together, it won't do its job. This is like the third one of these I've had. I heard Harbor Freight changed that design, but it's still that design in their catalog. It's still that design in the store that's kind of local to me. So your mileage may vary on that one. Okay, so that being said, this is the Craftsman tool, right? That stuff's available. and any quality tool should have part serviceable. So I assume the Matco and the Mac stuff does as well. I just didn't kind of like go down that hole because that's not what I was working on. Okay, so that one's fixed. So now we can work on the Snap-on one, and it disassembles a little bit differently than this Craftsman one, but essentially the internals are the same in these parts. So let's check that one out. Okay, so the second wrench that we're going to work on today is this Snappy. Let me see if you can see it. Here we go. The F710. Like I said, this is a little bit dirty, but there is that little kind of 1 looking number in between the on and off is 1. If you look at Snap-on's dating code, that denotes this as a 51. This tool is literally old enough to be my daddy. Okay, that being said, here is the kit for that. It shows all the sockets that it goes to. This is the part number. And this, again, I found this through eBay. I didn't see it on the Snap-on site anymore. So, again, your mileage may vary with some of this stuff, but it is out there. It just depends on how hard you want to look for it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get this guy disassembled. So these 2 screws come out the back here. Pretty straightforward. About there. And then with that, the cover plate comes off like this. Then your gear will fall out like this. Let's see, this gear is super damaged. And then the difference with this tool versus that other one is the pawl and the ball and everything is peened into this tool. Okay. So since I don't really have any damage to the pawl, I don't really see much reason to service it, which I'll also kind of talk about with some other stuff here in a second. And the peening is still good. And yes, mind you, I could repeen this, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's kind of where I'm at with that. So, that being said, the new kit comes with the new gear. Okay. New hardware. It comes with the new switch and rivet, if this was the problem with your tool. The new gear pawl. Alright. So like I said, I don't have any damage to this gear pawl because of it's a super simple design. I don't think there's really any need to replace it. You saw with this other tool, most of the time when you have a gear blow up, it's going to damage the pawl as well. And the pawl in this other one wasn't destroyed, but the gear was. The gear in this one is destroyed. What's that? What's that new bushing? That's just a little bushing that comes out of there. New bush. Drive that bushing up in there like that. It's got a little lip flange on it. And it can use a little lube on this guy. And it's like everything else, when you're using lube, you just don't want to. No reason to get stupid. Yeah. Basically it goes in there like that. right, so basically like the last thing is this cover plate. You just want to clean it off, and we will put the screws back in here. All right, so for the last tool that I'm going to talk about here today, like I said, I kind of went down on a wormhole and ended up buying a couple extra tools. What I ended up doing is, I thought I was kind of clever when I figured this out. Turns out I'm not. It's old news. Snap-on makes this quarter drive tool, right? But Snap-on also makes an 3/8 drive tool they call their compact head. All right, so I started kind of digging around. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It'd be rad to get one that was in compact. But I couldn't find one that just had the bare tool in 3/8. Appears they don't make one in compact 3/8 like this. So I was like, I'll just buy one and build one, right? Well, that's all good and cool. And then it showed up and I was like, man, this handle is pretty fine. I don't know. It might be good just for using it for quarter drive stuff. Okay, so all right, that's kind of neither here nor there, but this is a tool that I wanted to do because I kind of like this, right? I think these soft tools, they're kind of clumsy and they're just kind of not my thing, but like I said, this handle's a little bit fine, so I think I'm going to keep this for like super fine quarter drive work. Anyway, the whole point of these tools is this is what's called a multi-position head tool. Figured that would be kind of handy. Anyway, what we're going to do basically, the long and short is we're going to convert this quarter drive tool to a 3/8 tool. Okay, and mind you, this ended up happening because I couldn't find, like I said, the 3/8 drive tool that I wanted. And then if I could find one like this, it really ended up being like about cheaper for me to buy the tool and the kit to swap them. So that's what I did. This is your 3/8 drive kit with a new faceplate. Okay, this is in their 72 tooth series. They call it the dual 80. I assume the 3/8 is actually 80 tooth, where this is only 72 because it's quarter drive stuff. Okay, so I'm going to break into this and I'll show you what's going on with that. Okay, so this is a pretty straightforward job. Basically, this one disassembles differently from the other one. Again, although we have got two screws on the front, the faceplate will come out and it will show the internal gears. I kind of just really want to talk about this real quick because, like I said, this isn't a new thing. I thought I was kind of clever when I figured it out, but it turns out if you go online, it's not a new thing. People have been doing it for years. And people have been doing it for so long that Snap-on decided to build this in a 3/8 head. So people didn't have to rebuild these, I guess. So these are a T8 bit head. So get these two screws out of here. All right. This faceplate comes off here. All right, like that. Then that leaves you with your tool like this. Okay, so I've seen a bunch of people do this and they end up breaking this out and gutting this tool. I don't really think there's any need to do that. So what I'm going to do here is show you 3/8 plate. And here are all the parts for this 3/8 drive kit. So basically what I want to talk about here is this quarter drive is what Snap-on calls the T72. This is going to be called the F72. So I've seen a bunch of these get done where people get in here, they gut the whole tool just to put the same exact parts back in the tool. Okay, so if you were an engineer and all you were doing was changing the head, wouldn't you just change the head, right? The anvil. So basically what goes on here is you've got all your parts, your pawl and all this stuff in here, and you got that little spring. You don't want that guy to come out of here, but essentially you just got this little tool on, or that seal on there. Then you've got the anvil, comes out like this. The new anvil goes back in like this. Okay. You take the seal. The little seal goes in there like that. Cover goes on. Like that. And then you can just put even your old screws and Loctite back in here. Here we go, 3/8 wrench. Okay guys, I want to say thank you. Appreciate you if you've stayed this long. A lot of the stuff that I do here is just kind of like, you know, I kind of want to like do it yourself, learn new things, fix stuff instead of buying new stuff, okay? Like, you know, like at one point in time, this country prided itself on building awesome stuff, okay? That's why your grandma and your great grandma's freezer from 1925 is still working, sitting on the back porch, okay? The fridge freezer that was bought in 2021 died 27 months in, just outside the 24-month warranty, okay? So, you know, and like anything else, reality this is, you can't do work without proper tools, okay? So, you know, everybody like loses sight of, and where this goes is this is like a time is money thing, okay? If you have downtime because you have a broken tool or you have a tool that you have to mess with to use, it's costing you money, plain and simple, okay? So you can take that however you want to take it or not take it or whatever, because like I said, it just seems like in this day and time, cheap shit has made everybody lose sight of the time is money thing, okay? And it's really unfortunate because we're just like, you just eventually are in a place where you're spinning your wheels, you're going backwards, okay? So that being said, I just wanted to show you a couple more little comparisons real quick while we're standing here, kind of like the evolution of these tools and stuff like that. So let's take a look at this real quick. Basically, we have the anvils out of those tools, respectively. The first one we built is the Craftsman, the Snap-on, and the second Snap-on. All right, so obviously, the bigger the gear, the stronger the tool is going to be. Bigger the teeth, you would think theoretically the stronger the tools is going to be. That may or may not be true, okay? So what we have here is, in order of build, we would have went in this direction. So this Snap-on, again, build time from the 50s when the country was still awesome. This is a 20 tooth. You can see they're super coarse, right? So 20 tooth gives you like 18 degrees of swing or something like that, I believe. This is a 36 tooth, right? It's a little bit finer, pretty decent tool, still not super fine. And this one you can see is a 72 tooth ratchet. All right, that gives you like 4 degrees of swing. All right, so basically what that means is the less you have to swing the tool, right? So 4 degrees of swing is like this, whereas 20 degrees of swing is like this. All right, get a lot more work done with an efficient tool. All right, but you can see the styling. I mean, there's only so many ways to skin a cat. It's kind of like where we're at with that. Again, like I said, I appreciate you watching. Hopefully you can learn something for this. Hopefully you mostly just think about longevity of products versus just buying a new one when the old one dies or whatever, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. Started this video, kind of got me going down this wormhole because that first tool broke. I bought a new tool before I came to the realization of fixing that one. That tool was old, it kind of needed to be replaced. It was time for me to do something else. So that has been a great tool. A couple things I found with it is kind of not long enough. And the flex head is handy sometimes, although a flex head can also be a pain in the dick sometimes. So what I ended up doing was I bought this bad boy here. This again is a 3/8 tool. This has got the locking flex head on it, and it is overall a 20-inch tool versus this tool being a 10-inch. Different strokes for different folks and different tools for different jobs. Okay, you just need different tools to fit into different holes sometimes, and that's why we have mini ratchets. I've always kind of been of the thought process of to keep your kind of tools to a minimum, right? Like, I don't know, you see a bunch of people who have that huge top drawer and it's just full of every socket you could ever possibly need. But how many 6.10 millimeter sockets do you need? Okay, right? There's only like so many scenarios where like you could have got a wrench in there instead of a socket, or so many things like that, right? It gets to a point where, and I get it, you want to collect tools and have all the cool stuff, but tools that are sitting there idle, they aren't making you money. They're taking you money because they're taking up space that could be taken up by a tool that's actually making you money, I guess, if that makes sense. So a little bit later on, we'll talk about, I think probably the next video will be a little bit of a talk about tool organization, and I guess kind of a little more in depth into some of the tools that maybe will get you started, maybe you need that you didn't know you need, or stuff that's just trash and you absolutely don't need. So if you're interested in that, please tune back in and check out the channel. I do other stuff here. I just been kind of in a lull where I'm not doing a bunch of automotive, so I figured I would just switch gears and try something different. So hopefully you like this. Please like, share, subscribe, comment if you want. Thank you for watching, and peace.